and it's going live on our YouTube. Yeah, so I'm going to take that again. I'm Amarachi Johnson Oba. I'm the community manager at Veramo, and Veramo is a framework for decentralized identities and verifiable credentials. A lot of us know that already. So the purpose for community calls like this is basically to have this more interaction with our community, and have this transparency towards what we are building. Working in a virtual environment can be a little bit different, being that we don't know what anyone is up to per time. So these calls are more like a meeting, something to get the community together to have our goals in alignment. So we also have like this. Today we are going to be having Donald and Kiran joining to present a Metamask Identity Snap that they developed. And the purpose of having members of our community join calls like this to make their presentations or to share what they are up to is that we want to have like more visibility, have people see what people are actually building with Veramo. As I said, the community is made up of like different personas. We have software engineers, we have CEOs, we have CTOs. Sometimes it can be very difficult for someone to know what exactly is going on, what exactly is Veramo, what exactly is decentralized identity, what are people building around this technology. So this is more like, a way to spotlight Tuum Technologies for the great work they've done, and also like share what people are doing around in the ecosystem. So I'm going to share my screen so that I give a little visibility to our agenda for today. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Can see it.
Yep.
Okay, I think I shared my entire screen. Okay. So, all right. So our agenda for this call is basically, we've already gone through our introduction. I know eventually any other person who wants to go ahead with an introduction can go on, but I'm just assuming that Mercia and Nick are already well known within the community, and Kiran and Donald will eventually introduce themselves when I call them up. Matthew and Victor, if you want to do an introduction, please feel free to. Would like to know you, would like to know what brought you into the community, how has it been so far? Is there like a technology you're building? And like, if you want to share more about it with us as well, feel free to do that. Just raise your hand and I will give you the permission to have a go at your introduction. So after the introduction, we'll basically go into some updates from the community, both community and technical updates. And then we dive right into a presentation by Tuum Technologies, and then a question and answer session where we ask Donald and Kiran any of the questions we have around their presentations. And then if any of us have like other topics you want to raise or things you want to discuss or questions you want to ask around the community of Veramo or even the exercise space, feel free to do that as well. So around the community updates, I'm going to invite my colleague Nick. Of course, we were at eDenver a few weeks ago, and we were also part of the R&D events organized by the Mesh R&D. Nick also gave a presentation, and it was a lovely event. Unfortunately, I couldn't go. Mecha wasn't there as well, but Nick and Simon were present. So I think Nick and Simon are like the best people to share like what their key takeaways were or how they saw the event. So I'll just hand the stage to Nick. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, we were at ETH Denver for 4 or 5 days. Our main takeaway were that basically that DIDs and verifiable credentials were a really big topic this year at ETH Denver. Heard them discussed in a lot of different contexts. There was an entire half-day event devoted exclusively to the DID ecosystem that Spruce put on. It was really great. We connected with teams from Ceramic who launched their new decentralized storage solution called ComposeDB right around that same exact time. connected with the Spruce team on sign-in with Ethereum, and also contacted the or made contact with this ENS team and discussed our progress on the did ENS DID method and how we can move forward with that and do some more interesting stuff with that. Other than that, the main topic that we heard a lot of different teams talking about was Sybil resistance. So we heard from teams at Gitcoin with the Gitcoin passport, as well as Proof of Humanity, and there may have been one or two others that we talked with, but Proof of Humanity or Sybil resistance was a very big topic this year. And of course, it's all built on DIDs and verifiable credentials, all of the these popular Sybil resistance tools. At the same time, there's also a hackathon that took place during ETH Denver, and we were in touch with a couple of the hackathon teams that used Veramo in their solutions, and we're able to help them get across the finish line. And it was really great to see them build some really cool products really quickly using Veramo. Yeah, that was pretty much the ETH Denver experience. It was great to finally see a lot of these people in real life. But yeah, I think that's it.
All right, thank you, Nick. Aside from Nick and Simon, did anyone else attend ETH Denver? Frank, Kirilo, I don't want to murder these names, Matthew and Ahmed. I'm trying to pronounce them as correctly as I can. Did you attend?
Yes, it is Matteo from Italy, from Italian. Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay. So did you attend ETH Denver?
No, I can't.
Okay. It's okay. I think Nick already made this great summary. I think they also posted a couple of presentations on their YouTube channel. So should anyone want to catch up on the things that happened there, I think they're on ETH Denver YouTube. So another update from the community, we added this new community page to our documentation, basically to help both new and old members of the community have like an overview of how to contribute or how to participate within the community. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat so that I think sharing my screen is making it, okay, now I see the chat. So here is the link. So should anyone have any edits to make, feel free to tap on the edit and send a pull request. Is basically a work in progress, just something to help the community to, have an overview of how to participate, as I said. Okay, so we give it to Mercia now to give us some technical updates.
Hey folks, we had a few small releases since our last community call. Most of the features and fixes were related to the command line application that we bundled with the repository. But we did have some like new features added. One of them is native support for DigiWK, and the other one is inline context support for JSON-LD credentials, which we were missing. Generally in development now, like for the Veramo framework, we have two like relatively bigger things in development. One of them is extending the crypto capabilities to like support new curves, new keys, stuff like that. And it's eventually making it even more modular than it is right now. And the other one is redesign of the storage layer. As always, the hard part is like the balancing act between flexibility and performance, especially in the case of storage. It can be highly impactful for the general performance of an application. So there are like a myriad of solutions out there that try to integrate with lots of like storage layers. And Right now, we're trying to figure out ways in which we can integrate with them, but not be too restrictive for our own API. So yeah, pop into the development channel on our Discord so that you can share your input if you have any like ideas or preference of how things should be done. And of course, this is not going to be like the final solution for everything. And since it's modular, you can like replace with your own storage layer. But it would be nice to have sort of like a common ground for plugins to use, like a simple storage for more complex storage, whatever. So like as I said, pop into the development channel and let us know what you think should be best. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Marcia. Thanks a lot. I would now hand it over to Kiran and Donald to share their presentation on the Metamask Identity Snap that they developed. Kiran and Donald are from Tuum Technologies. And all right, go on.
All right, can you see this?
Yep.
Got a presentation. All right, cool. So I'm going to try and breeze through this quickly. Some of you may know us, Tuum Technologies. We've been working with Veramo for about 6 months now. We've been working in this space. Kiran and I met in early 2018, and we've been working together ever since. And we formed Tuum Technologies at the beginning of 2020. So put some QR codes up there. That's a link to my Twitter and Kiran's GitHub if you want to connect with either of us. Just quickly going through what is Tuum, just to let you guys know before we get into the Snap development demo that Kiran's going to do. Just letting you know, like many companies that are actively building in this space, our focus is on decentralized identity, and really we want to make this, something good for all of humankind because we see the extreme benefits of this. So we've had our focus pretty much since day one inside of decentralized identity and using DIDs and verifiable credentials. So it was a perfect mix whenever we started to work with Veramo. And our mission really is with the prototypes we've built, the services we built, some products that we've played around with, is being able to try and mesh the worlds of the physical world and the digital world when it revolves around identity. And as everyone here probably knows, or that's building in this space, the way that people look at identity obviously isn't the same. A lot of people think that it's more of a legal identity, your passport, your driver's license, all of this, but really it's so much more. It's all the attributes. And I'm reading the Phil Windley's new Decentralized Identity book, and he brings up a good example many times, and that's, if you're meeting a friend at a restaurant, you may interact with the host. They know where you're going to sit. There's a payment. They know that you're older than 21 if you're drinking, or the type of food that you get, or who pays more, who's a good tipper. There's so many attributes that happen in your physical life, and it's not being portrayed properly in our digital world. So how can we do that? And we think the best way to do that is with verifiable credentials and decentralized identifiers. And that's what we've based most of our work on. So how are we doing that now? We've started working with Metamask snaps, and Kiran's going to do a demo of the identity snap that we've built. And most probably know what snaps are at this point. They've been around for a while, but they're not in production yet. And what it is, it's making the MetaMask wallet more extensible by being able to connect to other networks, to do other cool things. And we're doing it by adding an identity snap. And that's what we'll demo today. And there's different functionalities that you can already do, create and resolve DIDs, issue and save verifiable credentials, generate verifiable presentations. We're adding in Google Drive VC storage support. So there's a lot of cool things you could do to integrate, and Kiran's gonna go through all that. So we actually have about 30-minute demo that you can see on YouTube that from our development about a month or two ago. So it's already a little outdated, but Kiran could go through right now and give you a quick run through of what we built.
Perfect. Let me see.
I'll stop sharing for you so you can jump on.
Before I jump into the demo, let me talk a little bit about myself. I'm a software engineer with a strong passion for blockchain technology. I was actually born in Nepal, migrated to the United States at the age of 14. Got my bachelor's from University of Colorado Boulder, master's from University of Georgia. And like Donnie mentioned, we've been working together since 2018. I myself got into the blockchain space in late 2017 during the 2017 blockchain crypto hype. But you know, since then we've basically been involved in a lot of in developing a lot of different products utilizing decentralized identities since basically 2018. It's only recently that we came across Veramo, and we thought that it was a perfect fit for us because it had everything that we wanted, you know, on our product, and without having to worry about all the details and all the intricacies of how it works under the hood, without us managing and maintaining everything. So, you know, Veramo was the perfect fit, and it was also perfect fit for us in that we decided to build a MetaMask Snap. Which Donnie talked a little bit about, but the general idea is that it extends the capabilities of MetaMask. So currently it is in beta, so you would have to install MetaMask Flask. And let me just share my screen here so we can talk a little bit about that. Share screen. All right. All right, so yeah, MetaMask Snap, it basically extends the capabilities of MetaMask. It's mostly for developers to integrate and build various products that were not possible with MetaMask, like some of the things that people have already built using snaps. Are some of the snaps. I think the other day I found a snap that someone built where you could interact with your Bitcoin using MetaMask, you know, with your Bitcoin, you can send and receive Bitcoin, and you can even, you know, build a snap to interact with any other blockchain, which doesn't even need to be EVM compatible. So those are the kind of capabilities that snaps offer. One of the cool snaps that I wanted to talk about that I also came across is they built a snap where before you interact with your MetaMask, it actually tells you whether or not the contract that you're interacting with had some suspicious activity in the past, and whether or not it is suspicious. And you can use snaps to basically offer those kind of pre-execution environment for users, so they know exactly what they are doing before signing anything on MetaMask. So anyways, these are some of the things that you can build with MetaMask. We decided to focus on offering the capabilities of DIDs, various use cases that DIDs offers, and using verifiable credentials. You can do a lot of different things. One of the simple use cases of DIDs and verifiable credentials is a basic authentication mechanism. And that is entirely possible with our Identity Snap. And we're actually working with a company called Acor, where they are building exactly that. Using Identity Snap, they're building they're building authentication mechanism for their healthcare portal, which is pretty cool. So anyways, let's go ahead and demo this a little bit, how it works. Actually, before I get into the demo, one thing I wanted to mention is even if Veramo was the perfect fit for us, it already offered some of the DID methods like DID Ether, DID Key, a bunch of other methods. But the one DID method that we wanted to support on our MetaMask Snap was DID PKH. And when we initially started, DID PKH was not supported. So our team actually got together and built a plugin for DID PKH, and we submitted a pull request to Veramo, and now it's part of the Veramo plugin packages, so anyone can utilize it in their own application. And we're also using the exact same DID PKH plugin on our MetaMask Snap. So in that way, we've been contributing back and forth, interacting with developers at Veramo, and interacting with MetaMask Snap to build this Identity Snap. All right, so I have here the way that snaps work is there's really no user interface that you're gonna be interacting with when it comes to Snap, unlike MetaMask. What it is you have to integrate a Snap into your own application to offer various capabilities. So this is the website that I have here is just an example website. It's basically an example website that we created in React to showcase the capabilities of Identity Snap and what it can do. And so that's why you see some very raw sort of APIs here, and we're going to go through this in a little bit. But the idea is, you can interact with the Identity Snap in various ways that even we can't think of right now. So I already have a local Identity Snap running in the background. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be installing this Snap. And I talked about you need MetaMask Flask. So you can download MetaMask Flask for Chrome and Firefox by going to this metamask.io/flask, because that's the only way that you can install snaps. You can't do that with the regular MetaMask because they're still in beta. Anyway, so let's go ahead and install Identity Snap here. So this connect button isn't going to let me do that. You see here, MetaMask pops up a notification screen. It's basically asking like where the Snap is being installed from. Right now, it's running locally at localhost 8080, but in production, it's usually going to be an NPM registry, which we also have pushed to the NPM registry. So in your own application, you would be interacting with the NPM package rather than something like this locally. So anyways, let's go ahead and connect it. So it's the next thing it asks you is, what is the Snap going to be doing? So it accesses the Ethereum provider. It can control your Ethereum accounts and assets. It can access the internet. Like all of these things, is what Snaps, our Identity Snap does. So we had to, expose these permissions so that user knows exactly what they're getting into. So we're going to be installing
Kiran,
this.
We can't see the interaction. It's just showing the Snap website.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a external window, and you might not be sharing your whole monitor. You're just sharing a window.
Better? Is that better?
Yeah, let's try it again.
All right. So let me just quickly uninstall this Snap and then install it. So
yeah, we can see that.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I'm gonna go here, uninstall, so we can do it from scratch again. All right, let's refresh the page. All right, let's go ahead and go through this again by installing the Snap first. So MetaMask, again, it says what it is connecting to. This Snap is is running locally at port 8080. So it's gonna be asking me for all the permissions that this Snap needs, accessing the internet, all those kind of things. We're gonna go ahead and approve it for now. And after it installs, we have access to all these various APIs. So the way that Snaps work is we can create our own set of APIs that any applications can interact with to offer various features. So like some of the APIs that we expose through Identity Snap is to resolve a DID or create a verifiable credential using your own DID. And retrieving those verifiable credentials and verifying and all those kind of things. So currently I am connected to Ethereum. So let's go ahead. Yeah, I'm connected to Ethereum right now. So one of the things that let's go ahead and try to do, get account information. So it's gonna basically ask me about the risk and stuff. And it's gonna ask me to connect to whichever account. So I'm gonna connect to every single one of them. And then here, it's telling me that it's using DID PKH. The DID is this. This is the DID PKH format. So it has the DID here. This is the EVM address of this account that I'm connected to and the public address. All right, let's go ahead and resolve this DID, see what that looks like. So when I resolve the DID, it basically generates the DID document. And this is being done with the DID PKH Veramo plugin in the backend, in the Snap backend. So you can see here that it contains everything about the DID document here. Let's go ahead and go through a simple process of generating a verifiable credential, because that's the most interesting use case. So I have here, and for this example, like we just have like two different fields here, a name and nickname. I just have it pre-filled, but let's go ahead and generate this. So what's gonna happen is MetaMask is going to be asking me, displaying me what exactly the verifiable credential will contain. So it contains, the credential subject to be profile. There's the name, there's a nickname, which we put here. And then when I approve, it's going to generate a verifiable credential. This is the verifiable credential. And in addition to that, it's also going to be saving in the MetaMask Snap itself. So each account has its own sort of sandbox environment. So everything that you do, connected to whichever account, it's only going to be stored in that particular account. So for this, my DID is this. So any of the verifiable credentials that I generate is going to be saved under this account. So let's go ahead and close this. Now, if I could retrieve this verifiable credentials, and we're going to talk about the Google Drive and Snap in a little bit. But for now, we're doing everything with the Snap. So let's go ahead and retrieve the verifiable credentials that we just generated. So it's going to ask me again for the pop-up. So this is the credential. It says that I have one credential. This is the credential. It contains some metadata here. This is, it's a type, verifiable credential, and profile names credential that we created here earlier, issuance date, expiration date, and the subject itself. I'm going to go ahead and approve, and it basically just displays all the verifiable credentials. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to, like, I can, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but the idea is, like, I could verify, I could give a sample verifiable credential and ask Identity Snap to verify whether this is a legitimate verifiable credential. So what it does in the backend, even if you just see true here, in the backend, it's actually doing a lot more, because it's interacting with the Veramo DID PKH plugin, and it's making sure that the the verifiable credential does have the correct proof format. It is resolvable. The DID is resolvable. And in addition to that, it has a valid signature, and it does belong to this particular DID that I'm connected to. So all of that is done, and for the response, it just says true, because we know that this is a legitimate verifiable credential. All right, let's go ahead and generate a verifiable presentation here from our verifiable credential. Now, in the Identity Snap, you could either pass in the ID that we always get whenever we retrieve the credentials, or you can also pass in an actual verifiable credential. So both of those are supported for here. I'm showing it through the ID, but you could also put your verifiable credential here and be able to generate the verifiable presentation. So what happens in the back end is it uses the MetaMask private key to sign this verifiable credential and then generate a presentation out of it. So so this is the kind of I believe that you could utilize verifiable credential and verifiable presentation to easily create develop a DID authentication mechanism in any website, and using Identity Snap you can totally do that. So this is the verifiable presentation. All right, so one other thing that we also mentioned is, yeah, you can do everything within the Snap, but what happens when you switch to a different browser, switch to a different computer? Like, everything is stored locally. So if you switch to a new device, you want all your verifiable credentials there. Well, you also want everything to be private. You don't want it on the blockchain, obviously, but you also don't want it anywhere that you don't trust. So what we offer is a way to actually save your verifiable credentials on Google Drive. And for this, we haven't submitted a pull request with Veramo yet, but we built another plugin, a Google Drive storage plugin, where it will basically save any verifiable credential that you pass over to your personal Google Drive. And then when you're logged on to a different browser, different device, you can basically, as long as you're signed into the same account, you can basically import all those verifiable credentials that are in your Google Drive. And now that we're done with Google Drive, like, we have, we're planning on supporting like more personal cloud storages like Dropbox and maybe Amazon S3 and a whole bunch of other things. But the way to do that, let's quickly see it in action. So first, we need to configure a Google account. So what it does is it basically generates the authentication token. It saves that token within the Snap in its sandbox environment. So everything is pretty secured by MetaMask. Now, if I click on sync Google VCs, it's gonna do two things. It's gonna see whether I already have a credential on my Google Drive. Even before I started this demo, I actually already had another verifiable credential on my Google Drive. And so that's why it's asking me if I want to import that VC from Google Drive onto my Identity Snap. And I can do that. But for now, I'm going to be rejecting it. But after you do that, it's going to ask me if I want to export the verifiable credential that we generated just a while ago over to Google Drive. And the syncing works both ways. It can import, it can export. Let me just reject that and basically sync. And I'm going to accept both of them just to see it in action. All right, so going through this again, I'm going to be importing the verifiable credential that is already there on my Google Drive. So approve that. And then I'm also going to be exporting this verifiable credential over to Google Drive. So now our Google Drive and Snap are all synced up. Both of them have the exact same credentials. Now, if I were to retrieve my verifiable credentials, it's going to show two of the credentials that I have. One, which we just generated a while ago. And then another one is which we imported from Google Drive. And all of it is now in our Identity Snap state. So it basically displays both of the verifiable credentials there. And here you can select Snap. By default, it's selected to be Snap. But if you just wanted to retrieve your verifiable credentials from Google Drive, you could easily do that by switching it from this front end. So Google Drive will still have two credentials because we just exported it earlier. So that's why I see here. So yeah, those are the basic things here. And there's a whole bunch of things that you can do here that would take too much time. We're just going to link to our GitHub later. But one more thing I wanted to demo. So this is supported in all the EVM compatible chains. But in addition to that, we also support Hedera. And the way that Hedera works is it's a little different compared to Ethereum, because with Ethereum, you have the EVM address and that's it. With Hedera, you actually deal with account IDs. And by default, you don't have any account IDs associated with an account. You need to first interact with the Hedera ledger to generate that account ID. And so let me go ahead and I have like 5,000 test HBAR here. I'm gonna connect to Hedera testnet. So now let's go ahead and interact with a couple of APIs here. Now what it's gonna do is it's still using my current account, which is this account A33 whatever. But in addition to grabbing all this information, here we see the DIDPKH colon EIP 155, and then one is for the chain ID, which is the Ethereum mainnet, and this is the EVM address. Now, if I try to get account info, two things are going to happen here. The first is it's going to ask me to associate the account ID with this Ethereum address, and I already have an account ID for this, so I'm just going to copy this and then paste it here just to expedite this demo. All right, and it's basically now I'm configured. Now from next time, I can resolve my DID, and it has, it deals with 296 now because that is the Hedera chain ID, and everything else is basically the same thing. The only addition is that now if I were to, generate a verifiable credential here because I'm connected to Hedera account, it's going to be using the account ID. So let's go ahead and approve that. And you see here, it adds Hedera account ID to be this. So this is gonna, let us know that which account ID, Hedera account ID, this verifiable credential is for, and all of that. And you can do, have some interesting use cases for that as well. All right. So one more thing I wanted to demonstrate is, well, you may be wondering. You need to either receive some HBAR on your account, or basically, you need to receive some HBAR on your account to activate your Hedera account. That's just how it works. So, but then you may not know your account ID. It's your first time using MetaMask, but with Hedera, you don't know your account ID. Well, you can actually ask your friend to help you with your Hedera account ID. So we have created a very specific API here, which lets you create Hedera account for someone else. So I can easily enter, let's say I'm going to use an account that doesn't have an account ID, and I can quickly check for that by doing here. This is a testnet browser. It tells me there's no result because it doesn't exist on the ledger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this API that I have here. So I can fund, like I'm going to give one HBAR to this. And then I click on create new Hedera account. What it's going to do is it's basically going to send one HBAR to, oh, I'm connected to a different account. Let me go back. All right, let's do that again. And it's basically going to send some HBAR from my account, well, one HBAR to be specific, and then it's going to create an account ID for this. So now, like whoever this EVM address belongs to, you can be like, hey, I've created it for you. You can either, you know, go to Hashscan to check your account ID, or here's your account ID. Like if you want to use Identity Snap, you need this account ID. So, you know, you can do that. So now, like if I were to go on here, Hedera Explorer, now like this is activated. So now, you know, I can easily switch to my other account, which was just created on Hedera, account 7, I believe. And then let's just get account information here. And it's going to ask me to enter my account ID. And I know my account ID now because I can check the Explorer, or like my friend told me about, like what my account ID is. And after that, you can basically do everything that you wanted to do. So anyways, that was a long demo, but you know, some very Hedera specific things we wanted to build. But you know, in a way, we want to make this in the future. We want to make this Identity Snap to be as interoperable as possible. So you know, we have plans to support Bitcoin addresses with DIDPKH, and we can do a lot of interesting things that you can only do with Bitcoin. And our goal is to support as many you know, blockchains as possible using this Identity Snap, because that is the kind of use cases that MetaMask lets us do. Even if it's not an EVM compatible chain, you can still build products for other blockchains using the MetaMask account that you're connected to. That's it for my demo. Thank you.
You packed a lot in there, and there's so much more.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Do you mind if I ask some questions? Yeah, so I was wondering how you were working with the storage layer, because like I'm working on that right now in Veramo. So I was curious how, like, if you had to create like specific plugins for the Snap and for the Google Drive, or were you able to adapt the existing like data store APIs that we have and create new implementations for it, or how did you do that?
Yeah, actually, we utilize the existing data store, you know, specification like that was out there, and we basically like 80% of the code, it was already there. We just tweaked it a little bit to work with Google Drive to be, you know, to use the Google Drive like access token to like upload and download the verifiable credentials. But it was pretty easy. Like we were able to get that done you know, pretty easily. And we hope that after we do some refactoring, like we may try to submit some PR for that. So it's in the Veramo plugin packages. So.
Wonderful. Thank you. I was wondering if you had any kind of like feedback about the whole process of update or like extending that kind of plugin.
Yeah. So honestly, we found it really straightforward to do everything because you know, the documentation for Veramo, it's pretty good. But more than that, you know, just by looking, even building the DIDPKH plugin, all we needed to do was look at some other plugins for other DID methods like DID key and DID ether, how they were implemented. Like they had all the templates required to, you know, develop any new methods. So we just followed that template and were able to do everything pretty quickly. So, you know, in that way, we actually also plan to support like more DID methods on our Snap in the future. So we plan to, you know, create more plugins if they don't exist, if no one is working on them. so that it can be part of the Veramo plugin packages in the future. So our whole process, it took some time getting used to it in the beginning, but like on Veramo Discord, any sort of questions that we had at any point in time, we instantly got answers for basically anything. So that was really, really cool, just to be able to get instant feedback from the developers there. So yeah, it was a breeze.
Wonderful. All right. Yeah, we're always open to feedback, so feel free to drop in more.
Yeah. We have a question here. Is it possible to import credentials from a third party that is non-self-signed credentials? Matthew is asking.
Yeah. So we actually do support that. I didn't go over that today on the demo here, but we do have an API that lets you do exactly that. So you can pass in a verifiable credential from anyone, doesn't matter, as long as that verifiable credential belongs to you, your account that you're connected to. You can import that and save it onto your Snap. So that API is already available. We just didn't demo it today, but it is possible with Snap, with Identity Snap.
Okay. Yeah, Donald, I was wondering if you were done with your presentations. This question was supposed to come after. Have you exhausted the content of your slide? I think there was 1 or 2 more slides left.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if this was a 30-minute or an hour long. I didn't want to extend beyond. But really, okay. All that was left really is just some opportunities I was going to call out. One was going to talk specifically about how Kiran had mentioned that the Snap that we've created is already being integrated into a healthcare portal on the Hedera network, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot that we see as far as potential in the healthcare space, and directly working with a company on the first integration, that I think that's going to be really cool to see. And that means that any other groups out there, projects that are wanting to do this, they can start to do this today, even though that the snaps aren't in production quite yet. That should happen next quarter. We're here and available, Kiran and I and our team, to help with that. And then also, if you have any ideas around snaps, if you're looking into it, maybe got some ideas from our presentation today, there's so much you could do with it. And our team now has been doing this for a little while now. We can help with that. So that's another thing. If you wanted us to build one for you, or work with you, or do some consulting, or just help out, that's the other thing. So go ahead and contact us to start to integrate it, the one that we've already built, or let's share some ideas and see if we can get some more developed. Because in talking specifically about these snaps, based on the timeline with this coming out next quarter and then mobile to follow, I think that it's going to get a lot of attention, because there's so much you could do with it. It's taking what we're familiar with the MetaMask wallet and extending it to so many different areas. And specifically in identity, we want to keep working on ours, like Kiran mentioned, but also see what other ones can be developed, because there's some that we've talked about internally where they can actually start to communicate with each other. So we're thinking about doing some type of an auth, single sign-on type snap that works with the identity and the DID component of the snap authentication. So there's a lot that we could do. So I just wanted to add that.
Wow, so many opportunities. Nick is asking if you can share the name of the company, the healthcare company. That's if it's something you're able to share.
Yeah, I think, well, we could share the team that we're working with. I'll have to see if it could be publicly released yet, the actual site that they're integrating it on. But yeah, I'll check in with them and share what we can.
Okay. So Frank's comment, I don't know if this is a question, but he said he would like to see personal storage options available to connect to Veramo, Google, Apple, Dropbox. I know Kiran mentioned that you're still exploring that, right?
Yeah, we actually built a plugin for Google storage to be able to use it with verifiable credentials. And in the near future, we do plan to submit a PR for that. But yeah, it would be, I think we actually are planning on creating additional plugins similar to Google Drive, but for other storage, personal storage options like Dropbox, various others that people want to see. So obviously, it depends on the time and resources to get that, but we have the foundation now, and we just need to follow that template, and it should be pretty straightforward to support more storage options. So.
All right. Thanks, Kiran. Thanks, Donald. Do we have any other questions, contributions, observations? I think we can take the next few minutes to do that. Okay, I guess there isn't. Okay, the contact is right here on the screen, contact@tuum.tech. And if anybody has any questions, I think you can contact them, or you can also, if something you want the entire community to see, or give their suggestions or recommendations, feel free to drop your chats in the development channel in the Discord. Yeah, our time is fast spent. It's been an amazing session. I actually learned a great deal. I'm pretty new in the SSI ecosystem, so I love opportunities like this to see the actual implementation of what we've been working on. So thank you so much, Kiran and Donald, for honoring this invitation and sharing. In fact, first, thank you very much for even building this, building something that can help people. It takes a lot to build things and contribute to the community for others to use. So thanks for this. This is amazing. And also for sharing with us your processes and everything else. And thanks everyone for joining. Thank you to Frank, Victor, Ahmed, Krilo, Matthew, and Abigail. Abigail joined us today. Thanks so much for joining. At this point, I think we can all call it a day unless we have any more, maybe one more point or anything, but I don't think there is any more from me.
I'll just say thanks for having us. We really enjoyed being a part of the community, and there's so much that we have left to want to build. And I see that, especially in decentralized identity, that there's a lot that we can build together, because it's going to take all of us working on this and collaborating. So we're available, and I appreciate all the help that we've gotten so far.
All right. Thanks a lot, Donald. Thank you once again, Kiran. All right. So we will all see in our Discord.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.